Hello, friends. Sometimes people find it difficult to understand each other. Kindness is seen as a sign of weakness, and excessive austerity is perceived as an attempt to humiliate your opponent. The man featured in our story today, which happened about 15 years ago, also had some difficulties understanding one wild animal. He thought that the predator was going to tear him to pieces, but in fact, the animal had completely different intentions. And you'll get to see what they were in today's video. An old forester lived with his adult daughter, son-in-law, and their little son in one of the villages on the territory of Karelia. One day, the old man went to the forest to pick blueberries so he could treat his grandson to fresh berries. The man knew the area very well, so he decided to go deep into the forest in order to find the really large berries. Having reached the place he was aiming for, the elderly man squatted down, put the basket next to him, and began to pick blueberries with a makeshift ladle. He got so carried away by the process that he didn't notice how he got to a deep hole. Suddenly, he heard a furious growl. It was a bear. It seemed that the animal had sensed that the man was trespassing on its property and decided to teach the intruder a lesson. But the experienced forester didn't go into the wild forest without a gun, so the man shot into the air. The bear ran to the side, but for some reason it was in no hurry to leave the dangerous place. The forester immediately understood why that was. There was a bear cub lying on the ground. The little animal got into a trap and couldn't get out. The brown predator was simply guarding it, not knowing how to help the cub. The man took a penknife out of his bag, picked the right attachment, and a few minutes later, he opened the trap. In order not to tempt fate, the man hurried to leave before the bear regained consciousness. All the way back, he felt that he was being followed, so he almost had to run. As soon as he got out of the forest, he looked around. The bear was standing behind the trees. It gave the man a rather strange look, as if it wasn't a wild animal but a grateful mother who didn't know how to repay the forester for saving her child. But the man didn't understand it then, so he thought that the predator simply couldn't catch up with him. About a year later, the forester was sitting at home, waiting for his daughter and son-in-law. They were about to return from the city where they went to go buy a baby bed. The family was expecting a baby, but the young couple were late, which made the old man worry. Suddenly, a neighbor ran into the house and started shouting that something terrible had happened. He said that there was a bear with a bloody mouth walking around the village, carrying something in its teeth. The forester quickly followed the neighbor. The men gathered in the street. They fired into the air to scare the beast away, but the bear wouldn't go far. Seeing the forester, the animal lowered its head, put some kind of red bundle on the ground, and walked away to hide behind the trees. It was the same bear from a year ago. The man came closer. Lying on the grass, wrapped in his daughter's dress, was a newborn baby. The old man couldn't believe his eyes, but he realized that he needed to follow the bear. The animal really did show him the way. The bear led the old man to an abandoned bridge that no one had used for a long time. However, it was clear that someone had tried to cross it recently, but the rotten boards couldn't hold the load. The forester rushed to help. His daughter and son-in-law lay on the rocks below. The young woman was still breathing, while her husband was no longer showing signs of life. Thanks to the help of the experienced doctors, the forester's daughter survived. When she was finally able to speak, she explained everything. She persuaded her husband to go to one special spot from her childhood. So they risked crossing the abandoned bridge. Unfortunately, it collapsed under them. From the stress the woman suffered, she went into labor. Then she remembered seeing a bear come near her. Then she lost consciousness. Having heard this story, the old man realized that this forest friend decided to repay its debt. And it did it just in time. After all, if it wasn't for the bear's help, the old man would have probably lost two of the most important people in his life. The forester also understood why the bear followed him a year ago, but never attacked. All it wanted to do was show how grateful it was to the man for saving the cub. But the man just couldn't understand it then. So friends, that's one amazing story for you. I really hope you enjoyed it. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.